Hi guys, my name is Yewande Sulaiman. This is Founders Who Dared. Today we're talking to Ope Adeoye. So Ope is a fintech veteran. He was a PM before PMing became sexy. Could tell is his first baby. Ope left Interswitch in 2017 to chase his lifelong dream of building a company with his name on it. Ope is the founder and current CEO of OnePipe. OnePipe is a fintech that aggregates payment services across industries. They have exciting products, one of which is grassroots banking, which focuses on using embedded finance to extend financial services to underbanked Nigerians. And this helps them to create a digital footprint and improve their credit history and eventually grant them access to credit. Ope is a trustee of Open Technology Foundation, which is the #1 advocate for open banking in Nigeria. Ope's story is exciting, is interesting, and I'm really happy and excited that he made out time to have this conversation with me, and I'm sure that you'll be intrigued by his story. Hi, Ope, good morning.
Morning, ma.
Thank you for coming on Founders Who Dared. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, so before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, you as a person, who you are, how your journey started, your background in tech?
Do you want the short version or the long version?
The long version.
Well, I studied electrical engineering in school. Like everybody in the 90s, when you're studying engineering, you hope to work in Port Harcourt or Warri. But I think for me, somewhere along the line, I realized that not all of us will get the oil company job. It's just not practical. That's step one.
Mhm.
Number two was I flunked in school really badly. So by the time I was in 300 level, my GP was like 1 point something. And I knew that this thing is not going anywhere. So I did some calculation, estimated what I would likely graduate school with if I put in the best effort, etc., etc. After all my calculation, I concluded that this will be at best a 2-2 that I must fight for. Ultimately, it ended at third class with an extra year.
Wow.
In fact, in the extra year, I was doing more courses than regular final year students. Final year students had 5 courses, I had 11. And they even had to waive 1 course at the end of the extra year. But what happened was when I got to the end of 300 level, based on this calculation that I said I did, I then thought, okay, what are my options in life? My parents don't know anybody. There's no way I was going to place me anywhere. So I came to Lagos, met a few people. I asked them, what are the options for someone like me? And they said there's something called computing that is starting to build up. And that in that industry, nobody really cares about your degree. As long as you can show that you know the work, you can do the work, that there's such a demand for talents and it's such a growing area that no one really will bother about your degree. I'm like, oh, is that true? So I took a step back. I worked in a factory then, so I saved some money. My mom had plenty extra to it to buy my first computer. I photocopied some C++ books and I started learning computers. So my first attempt was to learn to build computers together, how it works inside. After I finished figuring that one out.
That's hardware.
Yeah, that's pure hardware, even low level hardware. Just because of the engineering background, I thought that was where I was supposed to go. But as that process ended and I thought I had understood it, I then realized that hardware costs money. Like you can't keep tinkering with hardware if you can't keep buying hardware.
Yeah.
So I came back to my supposed mentors and like, my parents cannot be buying, even this one computer we bought is savings and savings. They said, okay, well, there's something called software where you can actually make computers do stuff and then that one just needs book and one computer and a compiler. Okay, so that's how I got into C++ programming. Well, that was my entry. So I put in I put in quite a lot of effort.
Yeah.
In my early years in school, it was basketball that made me fail, and I just didn't used to go to class. In the later years, I was basically always in front of a computer in my room, and still didn't go to class. But at least for me, I ended school now with a clear skill set that I could hold.
Yeah.
Immediately I finished school, I came back to Lagos immediately. I got my first job within 2 weeks. They never asked for my degree like the people said. So, okay, maybe it works. So that's how I got into tech.
Interesting. Quite interesting. Okay, so you had a 180 at 300 level in uni. What would you say propelled, what made that happen? There must have been a trigger. So it wasn't just, oh, you looked at your results and you saw that something was going wrong.
There was no special trigger. That was the trigger. It's just you are the firstborn in your family.
That's it.
They are looking to you to say whatever you do is what your my mom kept reminding me. Whatever you do is what your siblings would do. So you had a good secondary school certificate. They all got good secondary school. Whatever you do is what they will do. So I became like really afraid that if I fill out this thing, interestingly, all my siblings also ended up in third class and tutu. So, so it's true. So for me, that was like the biggest fear. Like you finish and three other people will do exactly what you did. Then you all be stuck and there'll be nobody to take care of you. So you probably need to get your act together.
Interesting.
So
wow.
Yeah. Let's just say it's the fear of poverty. I still look around and say even till today, my biggest motivator in life is fear. Like I tell my people in the office, like my biggest motivator is fear of failure.
Fear of failure, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so fear of failure carried you through, all your years, your early years at work. You started working when?
2003.
Wow.
2003 was my first job. It was even somewhere in Ikeja here too. So it was a company that was building software for hospitals and schools.
Okay.
My salary was 8,000 naira.
Yeah, 2003 was a long time ago.
No, it wasn't a lot of money. So my salary was 8,000 naira. It always finished within the first week. I was living in Bariga, so I have to travel. Like even the transport alone just manages to finish the money. But thank God for my uncle and auntie that I was staying with. Every day they sorted me out somehow. So yes, but on that first job, my C++ wasn't even used at all. They were using something called Power Builder. So by my third or fourth month on that job, I started feeling the same rebellious streak. I can do this thing myself now. Like, do I really need to be coming here for this 8K? What are these people doing? Gone. I can do it too now. So yeah. But I did that first job for like a year before I dropped off.
Okay. Okay. And what happened after that? What did you do after that?
So to take it back a little bit again, when I finished school, I told my parents, as you can see, I finished with a third class. As you can see, nobody will really employ me if I don't get this. I'm betting on this software thing. And that's based on what I've done in this software thing, I've realized that I can actually start my own company. I can start now. So we had this long fight with my parents. I asked them to give me some money to start a business. For where? That will go and close all our cooperative and give you. I know my parents are in academia. They're like, no, what shape PGD?
Yes,
exactly. What shape PGD? Then we'll organize something for you.
No, to buy university. My dad was both my parents. To buy university. To buy to share. Oh my soul masters. I'm not worrying. To buy masters. You didn't watch a PhD. Oh my God.
It was the exact same thing. So imagine me telling my professor dad that no, is this starting company? So it was a really long fight. But then it got messy. I told them, all right, fine. If you won't support me, I will still do this thing. So I'm leaving home today. I packed all my stuff. I'm leaving home today. You will not see me again till I come back and tell you I've succeeded at that thing you said I should not do. So I left home. It was quite serious. So I left home. I never went back. It became a serious family issue. We called the extended family meeting. I would never go to those meetings. But that thing kept reminding me as I took that first job. You boasted to these people. You're not going to go back to Lorraine and say you now took a job. You must start that company. So that's what, after that job, I left it to then build some school management software of my own. I spent a whole year building it out. I was proud of the work I did. But then I learned the hard way that it's not by code.
Yeah.
So after writing software, like, I used to love the thing, rub it every day. This thing is so nice. When the time came to sell it, I was going all over schools in Yaba, Onike, Ikeja axis, trying to get them to buy into this stuff. And it was always hard to even get a meeting with the administrator of the school. So I realized that maybe there's more to business of software than software.
Just writing the code.
That experience humbled me.
Okay. That's cool. Okay, so fast forward till now, that thing that you said you were going to do, you eventually did it.
Started it.
Yes.
Started it.
Well, you to a large extent, you starting it is more than 50% of it. Yeah, and you've executed quite a bit.
I hope so.
Okay, so before we get into OnePipe, I'd like to talk about Interswitch and what happened immediately after Interswitch Labs.
Okay, so when I concluded that this entrepreneurship thing is harder than I thought, I took a job again at a company called Splashers that has now become VGG. Early days.
Venture Garden Group.
Yes. Early days, about 5 of us in the company at the time, all engineers. Then I spent 2 years there, but towards the end of those 2 years, I think the rebellious streak in me, there was some Yahoo group that had like Nigerian techies in it. And I started some debate around.
Not Yahoo.
Not, please, not Yahoo. Yahoo group.
Yahoo Messenger.
So in that group, I started some argument around how internet is fast coming to Nigeria. There's a payment company that can become the underlying infrastructure for that ecosystem as it kicks off. But this company is just distracted with ATMs. Like, why are they just deploying ATMs? Like, is that the internet is coming? ATMs cannot follow you to the internet. So I used to make sort of those type of arguments.
Yeah.
Then someday my phone rang, someone calls me and says, my name is Charles Ifedi. You see the arguments you used to have, come and have it to my face. It says, where are you? I mean, Abeokuta. So Charles was in Abeokuta then. So we met at some place. We had a debate a little bit. And the debate ended with, if you are so sure about this thing, come and do it now. Abi, if you're sure, you come and do it. So I took a job at Interswitch. And then that sort of aligned with some other personal objectives I had. I wanted to get married. My wife was working in Lagos. If she comes to Abeokuta, she'll have to leave. I'm like, okay, it's easier for me to just go and join this guy. So that's why I joined Interswitch as an engineer. Again, within 2 years, I got bored again or got rebellious again. So I used to always argue, I do this Interswitch people. I came here to do online payments. What's all this pay direct and all these things that we're doing right now? I made a big issue out of it around building a version of WebPay that is plug and play and everybody can. But the company can say, there are priorities. This is nice and cute, but there are priorities that matter in real life. I left when they wouldn't let me push that agenda and went to Celtel. Then within a year in Celtel, the same Charles Ifedi calls again and says, okay, fine, come, let's try and do something that can meet both of us in the middle. And that thing became what ended up as QuickTeller. So he painted this vision of what QuickTeller could be. The name wasn't clear, just like he had this idea that could be this. We locked on the name QuickTeller, then we started the building process. So when I came back is when I became product manager at One. And then I enjoyed that job. That's the truth. I enjoyed that job. I almost totally forgot my entrepreneurship aspirations. And I used to always justify it with, this is the learning you need to start a company.
Exactly.
And then I said that I will do this QuickTeller thing for 5 years so that I can learn everything I need to learn, build the network I need to build, then I'm going to start a company. And we had this gentleman understanding that you do this in 5 years, then go start a company. That 5 years became 11. And when I finally then left in 2017, I think I'm an ideas guy to an extent. So I like just hundreds of ideas. So let's start a lab where we can get people in to describe their ideas in the industry that they are in. And then this lab will create the products, run it for some time. I also learned very quickly that labs cost money and don't make money. Within a year, I was out of money, moved out of my house to some other house, put my wife's car on Uber. Couldn't pay school fees, so I changed my daughter's school. Like, things got quite hairy. Then at the end of that period, when I thought, okay, fine. Labs have shown you they cost money and don't make money for a long time. Which of the projects in the lab looks promising? There was a project then called PayPipe, some sort of aggregation of payment processing into one single API.
Yeah.
So we say, okay, let's rename that thing called PayPipe and call it OnePipe, just because we don't know where this thing might take us. So we named it to OnePipe, turned it to a company, shut down 2 labs, and then all 7 of us that were left focused on this thing.
So 7 included your co-founder?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I want to take you back a bit. Yes, your Interswitch journey, a lot of us are quite familiar with your Interswitch journey. You were the daddy and mommy of food teller.
The run around guy.
No, you were the daddy and mommy of food teller. And the truth is, a lot of PMs today actually take, at the very least, have taken a minimum of one lesson or the other from you. And so,
really?
Yes,
okay.
We call you the ultimate PM. Ope Adeoye, the daddy of Fintech PMs. Anyway, so when you were living Interswitch, you were going to start a lab. Was that the first thing that you wanted to do? Was that the original thing that you left for? And when you were leaving, did you have someone lined up that was going to do that with you, or did you leave and then start thinking about, okay, who can I do this with?
Okay, so even just before leaving, there were 3 of us, myself, Emmanuel, Namdi. We had backing from a gentleman called Ike. We sort of had laid down the plan even before I left. So we thought we were clear on what the plan was. We even had the first set of projects even before we started. Like there was significant preparation, I think. But it was always going to be that lab, because my idea was that I think I'm fairly healthy at this PM thing. So it was sort of like PM as a service.
Yeah.
So it was like, I can do this PM thing now. What I didn't know is that you can't PM too many things at the same time.
That's true.
It's just one you.
Yeah.
And things need money and time. That's just what it is. So it was always going to be the lab, I thought. It was going to be the lab forever. And it didn't work. Okay.
So can you tell us like 1 or 2 key reasons that you believe that 2 labs didn't work? Apart from money, because there would always be the money aspect.
I think things need focus if they will work. Things need commitment if they will work. So if you are going to focus, it's hard to focus on 23 projects at the same time. It's just difficult. At the peak of 12 labs, we were pursuing 23 opportunities. Each opportunity had like its own small team, its own sponsor. It needed market research. And we just couldn't do that effectively.
Okay, so were you literally incubating these projects?
So it was basically like a money bag, or a corporate comes to you and says, we think there's a need for credit in FMCG as a problem statement.
Yeah.
I'm willing to back this thing with $10,000 to even confirm whether it's valid.
Okay.
We take this small promise of $10,000 that has not yet landed, by the way. We commit our own money, assemble 2-3 developers quickly, go to the Okeani market, interview people. Would you do this? We do all of that. Then you go back to the sponsor and say, I think demand is validated. Now let us build an MVP in 3 months. And we have $20,000 more to build the MVP. While the 20,000 hasn't yet come, we deploy hours again to do it. And then after a while, we then say, you see, it is working now. Can we now spin this thing off as a company?
Oh, that's a long game.
So spin this thing off as a company, and then the 12 labs will get a percentage of that company as carry. Like that was our idea. You can't do that times 23. You really can't. You really can't.
Interesting. Okay, so you zoned in on a payment aggregator product, which became OnePipe. How did you start? What were the first things that you wanted to do?
So towards the tail end of 2018, we looked ourselves in the eyes and said, we think we need money. We think we cannot keep waiting for these money bags and sponsors to bring their money. Okay. You can, and when I was living in Interswitch, I was like, I'm done with this fintech space. It's getting over-regulated, saturated. It's just, I'm done with it. So we even took a call not to do anything financial services in
Interesting.
2i Labs because of that. And this was just my bias.
Yeah.
But then when we're now looking for money, we then say, it's the thing you know that you will use to make money. So maybe you shouldn't totally write it off. So that's when we spun off that project, PayPipe, to then say, okay, as more and more payment companies are coming in, businesses are starting to feel overwhelmed. They'll be like, should I choose Paystack or should I choose Flutterwave or choose Interswitch or is it cash? It became an overwhelming thing for many businesses, and especially for the larger ones who wanted to make sure that they chose the right partner.
Yeah.
Then typically you start with someone that you think is your partner. Then the second person shows up and says, I can do what that guy is doing plus more. Then start another integration project. So our idea was I will create PayPipe as an aggregated payment experience for large enterprises. Our first customer then was MTN. Like we'll build this thing, it will be like an in-house payment gateway for MTN, and all the other participants can just come and plug in as long as you conform to some standard interface spec.
So like he gave MTN the power to be a super agent of some sort?
Yes. Like in-house processing. Even in abroad is common. Like larger companies do their own payments processing and get payment processors to conform if they want to participate, something like that. So that was our idea. And that project is still not live today. With all the large enterprises we did it with. So that also says something. So it was like when we thought that's how we will make money, we were actually charging a fee per deployment.
Oh, okay.
So that helped us survive like months at times. But then the transactions never came through. So, all right, this is not the answer. Let us then turn it to a company, take our destiny in our hands, stop waiting for large companies to go live if they won't go live.
Okay, so you talked about when you left Interswitch and how difficult things got at some point with 2i Labs. I just keep thinking in my head, as of this time you were married, you had kids. So how did that transition happen from bringing money every month to babe, I'm not sure what's going to happen next month.
God bless Mrs. Adeoye.
Amen.
She was very understanding. So I took some steps before leaving Interswitch.
Okay.
I put some money away.
Okay.
So if I was living on 100 naira monthly before, I was like, Madam, let's be honest with ourselves. We only need 20 naira if we cut side. Yeah, they're like, yeah, that's true. We can live on 20 naira. So we say, okay, 20 naira times 1 year. Abi? Put that somewhere.
Yeah. And
be dripping it out small as you go. So that at least the family doesn't suffer because of this stupid thing you say you are going to do.
Yeah.
So that's how we were managing in the early months. Then as the sponsors were thinking we'll bring money, we're not bringing it. I'm like, babe, don't be angry, eh? That money. So somehow we're spending the money on 2i Labs, and that wasn't healthy.
No.
So at some point, I then started taking personal consulting gigs.
Okay.
So I'll do consulting for a company. I'll convince them they need 2i Labs, but they need to pay me. They need to pay 2i Labs, not me. So you need to pay 2i Labs, but it is really me you wanted to do something. I know, sorry, I don't exist anymore. 2i Labs. So they pay 2i Labs, and then from the morning they pay 2i Labs, I was subsisting 2i Labs. So I stopped touching the personal money on the other side.
Okay. Oh, but did you have a plan B?
Yes. Yes.
What was the plan B?
So the plan B was we are going to try this entrepreneurship thing for 2 years.
2?
I didn't know what I was saying. So I was like, by 2 years, everything I put is stable.
Wait. Why do founders always think that we have everything figured out? Oh my God, I'm the messiah that's going to save this industry.
I was like, 2 years, by last 2 years. In fact, it was like within 6 months, the first set of projects will go out, the sponsors will see that we're serious, they'll bring money. I can even start earning the salary story. So my plan B was, if in 2 years is like, this thing is not really working, I'll go back and beg at Okwawo. Like, that was my plan B. But I was like, that would never really happen because 2 years is a long time. It didn't work.
No, 2 years is a very short time.
That is a very short time.
To realize. So back to your co-founders. So, transitioning from 2i Labs into OnePipe, to a large extent, the IP that started OnePipe belonged to 2i Labs.
Correct.
So how did you navigate because I don't,
Correct.
you didn't move with the same people.
Yeah.
So what was the arrangement?
So we had a man-to-man discussion. We came to an understanding and said, "You are correct. The IP that became OnePipe sits in Twi Labs. You can't just walk away from Twi Labs." What was Twi Labs' original business model? Is that to own a small percentage of every experiment that comes out
Yeah.
of it. So we agreed that Twi Labs will remain on OnePipe's cap table
Okay.
in the percentage that is its normal business model. So
Okay.
all of my co-founders in Twi Labs are indirect participants in OnePipe via Twi Labs because of that. So that's sort of how we manage, and we all agreed, signed off,
Okay.
and moved up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, and that's clear enough for everyone
Yeah.
involved.
And we're still good.
Cool. Okay, so your current co-founder in OnePipe, what's the dynamic? What is your core area? What is his core area?
So the way we kind of did it was all of us seven that were left in, so we're 20 something at some point, we cut down to 7-ish.
Okay.
We all, I know it sounds odd to say we all moved in as co-founders into a company. Like, it doesn't tell a good story.
At different levels, not necessarily at different levels of ownership.
Yeah, correct. So we all crossed across that way. You can use the term co-founders loosely or not. Exactly. But we all crossed over with equity into
founding members.
into OnePipe as founding members. Yeah. But then at different weights.
Yeah.
So typically based on, are you bringing money? Are you taking a salary while the others are not? That kind of stuff.
Okay. So how old is OnePipe now?
2.5.
Wow.
Well, depending on how you account. 19, 20, 21. Ooh, 3+ actually.
Oh.
So 3+, yes.
Interesting.
Okay. See, my 2 years are over.
Yeah, but you've done very well in your 2 years, so you don't need to go back to plan B.
I hope not.
No, you won't.
We die here. Yeah. We die here.
Cool.